Growing up in the church, it often felt like the only two acceptable positions on politics were to be right-wing or to believe that politics and religion shouldn't mix. But the more I studied Christian theology, the more I realized that both of those options serve the same master: fascism. Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Colton. I grew up a Pentecostal pastor's kid. I went to school to get degrees in historical Christian theology, and I want to talk to you about two theological concepts that changed how I thought about how Christians should engage in politics and taught me to understand the Christian faith as a spirituality of liberation. The first idea comes from the book of John chapter 1, where it says that in the beginning was the Word, or the Logos. And the Logos was with God, and the Logos was God. And then a little later, I think verse 16, it says, and the Logos became flesh and dwelt among us. Now, this is important to understand because we usually just interpret the word Logos there to mean word, which is kind of vague and just gets talked about as an expression or something like that. But Logos doesn't just mean word. It means the divine reason and order through which everything exists. And John is saying something scandalous here. The claim is that this Logos entered the created order, took on a body, and lived in a backwater province under the heel of empire, and was executed on a cross as a criminal. Now, I think that changes everything, because if the ground of reality itself took on flesh, if that's what you believe, then creation isn't throwaway material, it's holy. If God became a human, then every human body bears divine dignity. And if the Logos identified with the poor, the crucified, and the oppressed, then to exploit people or ravage creation isn't just morally wrong, it's a denial of God's own incarnation. The Logos makes politics inescapable, because to confess that the Word became flesh is basically saying that how we treat flesh, our neighbors, our enemies, the earth, has an eternal weight to it. The next idea I want to talk about comes from Maximus the confessor, who was a Christian monk and theologian in the 7th century. And Google him, is widely regarded as one of the most important Christian thinkers in all of history. He took John's insight a little further. He read passages like all things were created through him and for him in Colossians 1, and to bring in unity to all things in heaven and on earth under Christ, I think from Ephesians 1. And Maximus asks, what does it mean that everything is created through Christ and held together in him? And his answer is what he calls the logoi, which is like the plural of logos. And I might not even be pronouncing it correct, but I didn't take Greek. That's okay.